Good morning and welcome to BPS Youth Voices Project's Learning Series. This is Session 1. Hi, I'm Rashmi. Give me a quick second and I'm going to screen share the presentation with you. Okay, here we go. So welcome again to the BPS Youth Voices Project Learning Series. This is Session 1. Chris could not join us today. He's going to try to connect with us through Skype, but we'll see how that goes with this broadcast. If you cannot see any of the details or cannot hear any of the details that we're mentioning, please do let us know through the Today's Meet link if you're joining us live. Today's Meet link is http://todaysmeet.com, BPS Youth Voices 2016 Session 1. That's today. If you haven't already been to the Google Classroom, I've already sent the class code in the email. The Classroom will host all the webinars, the assignments, and the resources that we need for the PD. The final due date is also announced in the Google Classroom, and we'll go to the Google Classroom in just a minute. For PDP credits, we do expect you to watch all the webinars and to complete all the assignments that are stated for each session. So let's quickly go to the to our BPS Youth Voices Google Classroom. So in here, what you can see is we have the project overview, the training objectives, and sort of the training modules. The training objective for BPS Youth Voices is pretty simple. It focuses on this training being designed to help us all gain skills and knowledge related to facilitating high quality youth media making experiences. We will explore formats and styles, learn how best to support our youth throughout the production process, plan exhibitions, and hone the technical skills necessary to use media making software. We will reflect on the practice of youth media and how best to facilitate and encourage the creative process with our students. One of the top goals of this BPS Youth Voices Creative Project training is to guide young people to the Create with Purpose philosophy that challenges young people to be intentional in the media they create and have an impact on their targeted audience and strive to change their own lives, their community, and the world around them. So sort of focusing on that Create with Purpose methodology and getting to the stage where they can create media works that have a purposeful, thought-provoking component to it. Now, we have a lot of collaborators, and we will talk about them in a bit. They support the program incredibly well. What I'm showing you right now is the first assignment, which a lot of you have looked at, but this is an assignment that's due. Again, the final due date is September 10th for all assignments, but it's always a great practice if you can catch up with the assignments as soon as you get to the as soon as the sessions go live. So for example, the homework one is a Padlet link, and some of you have already posted information in the Padlet. These are the prompt questions on the Padlet. Here is a link to the exit ticket that you'll be doing. Adobe Spark is something we will be using during the second session. Today we will be using free tools, Google Slide, and a couple other things to make posters. Photoshop Elements, Premiere, you should download. You can use 30-day trial, and do let us know how many licenses you need at the end of the training so that we can get them and make them available to you. So again, quickly, we are going to the learning series objectives. This whole series, which will have 5 sessions, will continue in the fall, and we'll add more sessions to this series. But for the purpose of summer PD, we will have 5 sessions and 5 modules. The objectives of all those 5 collective modules is to get a full review of the Youth Voices philosophy, the project, what's expected of the educators and youth as part of the program, discuss the value of and methodologies for youth media, so that we are focusing on making a social change, selecting and using various media formats in which work can be created. So we'll discuss different media forms and formats. We'll list the steps and strategies sort of to help facilitate effective youth inquiry and reflection, which are very important components of youth media and youth media making process. Using Adobe apps and other digital media apps. So we'll be using a range of free applications throughout this training to see how to make media with youth. And finally, we'll also develop an implementation plan, take care of the logistics, look at the timeline and other details regarding the project. So that's sort of the main learning objectives. So what is this whole concept of creativity, and why are we focusing on a project that focuses so much more on global creativity? So here is a quick AV from Adobe, which sort of documents the data around creativity. So give me a quick second. And I'm going to switch to that. Okay, here we go. Please do let us know if you cannot hear or see any of the media presentations. Thank you again. So there is an incredible creativity gap, and sort of they call it the creativity crisis in the globe around us, because sort of recognizing what creativity is and how to foster it forms the basis of this whole movement towards providing creativity for our students. So that is going to be the framework with which we go ahead as we look at Youth Voices projects and Youth Voices, creative spectrum. So here is a nice infographic that we have attached to in our Google Classroom. So do go over it with your students, and you can actually take a look at the different themes and topics that are being discussed in Youth Voices as well. So what is BPS Youth Voices program? Give me a quick second. And here we go in terms of, we'll talk a little bit more about the BPS Youth Voices project, but we just wanted to quickly give you a glimpse of one of the AYV live events. So as we look at the BPS Youth Voices live, just to give you a quick framework of the BPS Youth Voices project, it is part of the Adobe Foundation's Global Signature Initiative in collaboration with Sim Boston, Timothy Smith Network, BPS Arts Initiative, and we have a lot more corporate partners that help support BPS Youth Voices in Boston Public Schools. So the goal of this project is primarily to ignite young people's creative confidence, the ability to harness creative skills to solve problems, and thereby empowering them to find their voice and make it heard. At the heart of the BPS Youth Voices project is the Create with Purpose educational methodology that provides youth and educators with the inspiration, training, and technology to create original, thought-provoking media works on relationships, human rights, the environment, and other topics that are of real concern to them. Through these experiences, young people, youth participants hone skills of self-expression, problem solving, critical thinking, ideation, collaboration, and also persistence, which is so critical to, starting to finish a project. These skills are regarded central or key to creative confidence. Usually we have BPS Youth Voices Live, which are the images you're seeing. That's an annual event that happens every year, and hundreds of posters, visuals, and films, thought-provoking films, excuse me, from K-12 schools are submitted for this project and are showcased during the AYV Live event, which usually happens in either end of May or June. The gallery walk is a really creative experience, and then you have exemplary projects from students highlighted during the showcase of the event, where students share their creative process, talk about challenges, talk about the rewards that they get, and how they came about their media piece. This year, over 1,500 students, over 60 educators, and 36 schools participated. But over a span of 6 years, and we'll be going into our 7th year, we've had over 5,000 to 6,000 students, and over 45 schools participate in the project. So it's been a very creative efforts across K-12 and growing. So quickly, let me get back to the slide presentation. So these were some of the numbers that we were talking about. The goal is, again, to ignite young people's ability to harness creative skills and to solve problems with advanced digital tools and powerful storytelling techniques. That's core to the Youth Voices project. These are some of the exemplars of students, and as you can see, the themes vary from human rights, environment, stop animal abuse. You're talking about anorexia, how smoking impacts, um, it can impact teenage pregnancies, or it can impact the self. It talks about creativity. We have, as I mentioned, a lot of partners who support the students in this endeavor. Of course, Youth Voices, Adobe Foundation, there's Timothy Smith Network. We have EDC, who also supports hugely in this endeavor and talks about, improving the measurement and also the curriculum that is being implemented in the classrooms. What you're seeing right now is the BPS Youth Voices webpage or website, where a lot of resources are hosted. So on the left-hand side, you can go to the curriculum exemplars. If you go to, say, curriculum 1, you will end up going to, say, pitch proposal, which we will talk about in a while. So there are a lot of resources that are being posted here. There is also an annual film camp that happens with the Youth Voices Project, and all the film camp live exemplars are also posted in the wiki or the project website. So you can see that there are some project proposal videos, their rough cut reviews, and their final feature projects that have been posted, and they also get posted to different international film festivals. So that's a quick glimpse of, I also wanted to quickly show you the Vimeo channel, where all the student projects are posted on a regular basis. We are also trying to move to the Google platform. So soon we'll be able to host close to 100 film projects and around 800 media, poster media, visual media from students onto that site. And the link to that site will be posted in the Google Classroom as well. So this gives us a quick review. Today for session 1, we'll be looking at sort of overviewing the common youth media practices. We will understand the Create with Purpose criteria, what that entails. We'll consider the benefits of youth media in teaching and learning. We'll review some of the steps of media production, and we'll understand the importance of media literacy. So what is youth media? So when we look at youth media, it is so much more than the product that the youth create. It is so much more about the practice. And it's beyond the inspiring work created by young people. Youth media is a practice that has grown for over 40 years in college media literacy classes. It is at media art centers, in film discourses, and it has gained sort of traction all over the world. It is a tradition of engaging young people in the use of media tools as a means of self-expression and as a catalyst for social change. It is, of course, an educational practice that allows young people to ask questions and to construct their own meaning with digital tools in this case. So I think for us, the perspective is to be able to give young people the opportunity to build creative skills and to express their unique perspectives on the world around them. But we also integrate the component of learning technology tools, current digital tools, Adobe applications, or tools that allow them to take that next step to creativity or creative careers. So that sort of allows us to bring youth media into our 21st century classrooms. These are just some exemplars of youth media in BPS. And sort of, again, it is very much sort of seeped into the tradition of engaging young people in the use of media tools and as a means of self-expression. That's why you see a range of projects from, themes addressing racism, or sort of one child left behind in China, so one child policy. It talks about Darfur. It talks about how words can be hurtful and how they can really impact a student's inner psyche. So, there are issues ranging from the yin and yang to sort of address these issues. Students use media tools and create impactful pieces and impactful products. So quickly, we are going to switch and take a look at one of our own BPS film project from West Roxbury Academy. Give me a quick second, which embodies this heart and soul of youth media practice. So give me quick second. I'm going to switch. Okay.
Split it up. You were supposed to call us that night so we could be back. Yeah, me and Natalie are going. Okay, I'm scared. There's no down, just record.
So this is a project that, give me a quick second, I'm going to try to retrieve. And what we have are the end credits. So let me quickly switch back to a presentation. Okay. So this is a really great project that students undertook at West Roxbury Academy, and talks a lot about, not stereotyping, recognizing that everyone has an identity. And there are many, many layers and layers of deeper meaning to the project. This just in terms of youth media, you got to recognize the amount of work that goes into a project like this, and the steps and the processes, and how the process is scaffolded for the students, and how the work is kept on track. There is a lot of effort that goes into organization, a lot of effort goes into collecting the media assets and editing, and so on and so forth. So sort of every time when you look at a media piece, recognizing that lens of what is the process behind this product is very essential. Again, all the work in this project is copyright free, so that is one of the key components of any BPS Youth Voice project, that it is, it recognizes and respects the copyright guidelines. And we'll talk about some of those in one of the sessions. I believe it's session 3. So moving on, we are going to quickly take a look at the create with purpose criteria with which we look at, or which is the lens and also the guiding principle for any of the BPS Youth Voices media projects. So relevant, which means it is to the makers and to the audience. So we are going to, instead of going through this criteria, I'm going to quickly jump to the create with purpose reviewing media tool that gives you sort of the framework within which these terms are placed and what are the key questions. So when we look at relevance, the evidence in media work that we're looking for is that the project tells a story drawn from the creator's reality. So the students are not really connecting with the reality. It's not an issue that's coming forth, but is something that has been given to them as a project idea. Then that really does not work with this create with purpose reviewing guideline. Media makers communicate an emotional impact tied to the topic. That's very critical to the relevance criteria of create with purpose. Intentionality focuses on work creating empathy between the audience and the media maker, and it also focuses on the format and style that is appropriate to the intent. Youth voice is very key component of create with purpose, and it sort of clearly states that the youth has an opinion on a global topic and an issue, and are expressing that opinion from that perspective. The work should also show that it is unique to the creators, because it also sort of alludes to the creative or copyright guidelines, and it also sort of gives them that ownership that they themselves could create this project without, external influences. It needs to be youth generated and educator facilitated. That's a key word. Work is drawn on an educational learning process, and it is more than entertainment. There is no evidence of sort of adult interference. So it's sort of not giving them the topic, not sort of facilitating, okay, editing part of this needs to be done this way or not. It's giving them that, giving youth or young people that free reign over what they want depicted in their media piece, let it be visual or film. Creativity and innovation, sort of its original in nature, again goes back to the copyright. Guidelines will talk about what are imitative works of mainstream work and what are some of the acceptable versions of it and some which are not. Aesthetic choices are clear and compelling, that there is not just too much of especially we'll refer to this in graphic design fundamentals as to how we can have too much of transitions in a film, or in a visual you might have too many jarring colors or typographies that clash. So making those choices very evident and clear and compelling. Ideas are expressed in a unique and powerful way, and evidence of evolving process improved through feedback from peers and others. This is critical because the youth voice projects go through a cycle of a rough cut review, which is essentially feedback from their peers. And at that stage, students seek feedback, get feedback, and then they decide on implementing certain aspects of that feedback into their project, so which gets them to the final stage. So sort of recognizing that there is a feedback process, and that feedback brings very valid point of views, perspectives to the table, which the youth media artists can take and take it to the next level for their final projects is very important. Again, the projects need to be inquiry-based, which means media works illustrates a discovery process for the media makers. So if they are talking about an issue such as Save the Girl Child, then they are creating a symphony of visuals or a film that focuses on that issue, but it also sort of gives you as an audience an understanding of how that media maker is going from maybe say facts to how possibly a issue could be resolved from their perspective, or there is a positive move forward. So something to that effect is many a times evident in a media piece, and that really is regarded as innovative process, a discovery process for the individual involved. Again, the discovery can be personal, technical, or factual, and the work reflects the curiosities of young people. Again, not an imposed sort of topic or theme by the educator or any other adult involved in the project. The quality, again, there are many different aspects to the quality. The images need to be clear, compelling, and well chosen. The audio needs to be balanced, appropriate, and noise, sort of, again, being mindful of the noise. The transition effects are useful and necessary and not just put in there because you can put as many transitions. So sort of recognizing that what's a good balance. Performances are believable. So especially in films, when you have students performing a certain aspect, you want to give them a little bit more understanding of what that could look like before you, before they start creating their media assets. Length and size matches intent. So especially for BPS, when we print visuals or posters, we go with the 19 by 13 inches size. So sort of recognizing that at get-go and designing your posters with that in mind would be very helpful. So that's a quick perspective on the create with purpose criteria. But this slide right here really allows you to see what are the key 7 components of this criteria that zooms in, and you can have a quick poster of it in the classroom that allows them to focus on it as they go through each and individual step of the creative process. So what are some of the questions that we can ask as we are looking at a media sample? So what is the purpose of the video? Who is the audience of the video? What do you believe was the likely process the artist went through to create this media piece? And has the artist used a specific technique to emphasize his point of view? These are just some of the questions that we've compiled through years of working with educators who've suggested some of these that they use in their classroom to sort of guide that discussion around media. So with those questions in mind, these questions, we are going to quickly take a look at, give me a quick second. We're going to quickly take a look at the media sample. Give me a quick second. And again, it's important that you see this piece. So this piece was beautifully done by Georgina Williams, and she's from Madison Park High. So give me a quick second, and I'm going to play this.
Girl, I wouldn't hang out with someone like you.
Maybe if you weren't so dark, because I'm kind of on team light skin.
Where'd you get your clothes from? Goodwill?
Maybe if you weren't so ugly, I would date you.
Yeah, have you ever thought about makeup?
You ever had the perfect body? Nobody wants you.
You're dirty.
I don't do nappy heads. You're a joke. You're a waste of life. Why are you here? You're worthless. Maybe if you weren't so here, you're worthless. Nobody wants you. I don't do nappy heads. You're a waste of life. Nobody wants you.
So again, we're going to move back. Give me a quick second. Keeping these questions in mind as we are watching any media piece or viewing or reviewing a media piece is very helpful, because the purpose of the video, it was very well done. It has very intentional media assets and a very relevant content in terms of how the storyline progressed. It was very well storyboarded at the beginning of the session, obviously, because you can see that there are 10 different characters contributing to the main theme of that story. And we'll take a look at the story making sort of. There is a series that we are going to look at which talks about what is an effective storytelling technique, and we'll address some of these concepts of what is a plot, what is the purpose of a plot, how does the process come together. We'll take a look at it. Again, keeping in mind some of these questions really helps you decipher some of the media pieces that we'll be looking at during this webinar, but also post or any media samples that you'll be viewing. So that was Georgina Williams from Madison Park High. And we'll take a quick look at some of these scaffolding activities these are some key starting strategies as we look at making youth media. So when we look at there are storyboards examples. In session 2, we'll be looking at brainstorming techniques and project pitch proposals. There is a handout for writing prompts. This is just an sort of cumulative effort from all the educators who have contributed to the writing prompts. So that's hosted on the Google Classroom, and a slew of scaffolding activities which will sort of help promote the creative learning experiences and build basic skills as students go ahead in bringing the big project in completing the big project. So there are several steps to that big project, and scaffolding activities really help you uncover those steps for the students. So I think one of the important aspects of these scaffolding activities, which is one of it is storyboard, is illustrating key scenes or shots in a media work with written explanation, narration, and directions. So literally, we'll show you an example of one of these and how that translates from paper to a pitch proposal and then into a final product. We'll see that whole process, because it is so important that students have sort of their creative vision on paper before they begin even collecting media assets for the project that they're creating, because sort of that storyboard or that serves as a guideline or guiding principle for their whole project and helps them scaffold or go back to it as they are uncovering different stages of their media making process. So one of these scaffolding activities is SAMS. SAMS stands for Story, Audience, Message, and Style. So let's quickly take a look at SAMS. So it's when watching media, it helps to have a shared language that you can use to understand and critique the work. The SAMS, which is the story, audience, message, style sheet, can help you discuss key points about that media with the students and with a group of students, especially if they are contributing to one project. So sort of about stories, students are asking what is the story and having a discussion about that and what has changed from the beginning to the end of the story, sort of understanding that there is a graph that the story follows. With audience, recognizing who's the audience for that piece and what in the piece tells you that it was created for that audience. So this is a very critical question, because then the students are sort of going through that media piece with the lens of who's the audience and what in the piece tells me how it connects to that audience. So there are many guiding questions that they have as they are looking at the media piece. The message is very important. So what is the message of the piece? There can be many. So is there more than one? If so, what are the additional messages? And sort of recognizing them and seeing them and being able to document them. That's why this worksheet is important. They also comment on style of the piece. They describe the piece. So they do some writing about the piece. They have fictional, non-fictional. Is it poetic? Is it personal? Sort of having some of these as guiding questions or cues is helpful. They talk about techniques. So are there specific techniques that the artist is using to emphasize a certain part of the message or one message? And did they use interviews? Did they use text, performance? What are some of these technical components of that media piece that is making it all come together? So sort of recognizing those pieces individually in a media piece, so that when they make their own process, they are recognizing these are some of the components that need to go in, and then how do they go in? So they have a guide for that. How is the quality of audio visuals? So are they clear? Is the sound at a good volume? Are there objects or sounds that are distracting? So again, recognizing that, every piece has its own additions in terms of, if you're bringing in too much sound, it could be disrupting for your audience, and having that lens on, is it noisy for the audience, or is it just enough so that you're conveying the message? Is the sound supporting the story? So recognizing all these components as they are analyzing media. And the more media they analyze, the more understanding of these components they get. So SAMS is a great tool to sort of recognize how all of these, the visuals, the audio, the text, how is it contributing to the story? So that's just SAMS in short, and SAMS stands for SAMS. What we are going to look at is a piece again from one of our brilliant young minds in BPS. So give me a quick second. I'm going to switch to it. Okay. And we are going to use this piece to analyze SAMS. So we're going to use SAMS to sort of first look at Queen, and then we are going to take a look at SAMS and analyze it. Okay, so here we go.
The queen that reigns is potent. She has power, she has authority, and people give her glory from head to toe. A living diamond cannot be scratched unless scraped by another more precious than silver and gold. When people look at her, they see
I apologize. It's
with love and hope. One reason why she reigns. Unbreakable. She's a living diamond. Solid. Major strength. Never defeated when it comes to battle. The type when you run out of food, she'll give you extra cattle and give you advice to fight all your spiritual battles. Potent. Powerful. Influential. Always humble. Wisdom was the first gift. She was created for the throne. She brings the world in peaceful abyss. There is and will never be another woman like this. As a queen, it's important to stay strong. You were born with natural strength. You've had your ups and downs on purpose to build your power. No matter what you do or say, people will define you. Let them define you, and their definitions will be corrected when they see your natural elegance, beauty, and intelligence. They can't do a thing but apologize because they have nothing in your eloquence, drifting into shame. Every time they speak your name, the room turns in every way, letting them know that you're here to stay. And most likely the ones who are in line to catch your bouquet. You don't have to give them those flowers. If I was you, I'd keep them flowers. My wedding, my flowers. But that's me. Who are you? A queen or a random object in society. Therefore, every woman is queen material.
That is a really powerful piece from Arvon that talks about women empowerment, talks about, there are many themes and messages embedded within this. And that is the beauty of this piece, because when we look at what is the story, or what has changed from the beginning of the story to the end of the story, it's a journey that she goes through. And as an audience, I would have a different take on this as opposed to a person sitting next to me. So it's very valuable to go through this exercise. Who's the audience for this piece? And sort of recognizing that it is, it may be created in BPS, but it has a global audience, speaks volumes about, as the poetry that Arvon wrote speaks volumes about empowering women, and how in many different forms it is such a powerful expression of what they contribute and how they contribute and who they are. So to me, when I look at the messages and when I look at the style, I'm going to jump down here, how audio and visuals contribute to the message and the story. I see how effective the poetry is in this piece, but I also value how they have pieced together the video aspects or video assets of this media piece with the poetry bringing together. So at one instance, you see that Arvon talks about stereotypes and talks about, refers to stereotyping women, and then you have certain images that flash on the screen and gives you that understanding visually as you're listening to it. So it's a very good amalgamation of great audio and visual, which is not, it doesn't take away from the message, but adds to the message. So it was very well done. And I would highly recommend doing SAMs anytime you watch a media piece, doing a SAMs with your students, because that really gives them a sense of owning the piece, and also gives them a sense of sort of working with that piece and understanding that piece that much more. I apologize, we just went through the presentation quickly. So here is SAMs can be done with visuals. So if you look at the Sab the Bullying, you know what the story is, what the message is, and how they've brought it about. But again, sort of recognizing how the visuals and the text and is going to add to that message and how it should be placed. So some of the students, while they're doing SAMs, especially for posters, they end up drawing certain feedback points, or if they have a modification to the image, they can do that. And the back of the SAM, visually, they can actually draw it out and see what would impact. So these are really great samples of visuals and films that help you understand SAM, but at the same time, using SAM that much more with media pieces helps students grow as young media makers with a purposeful voice. Moving on. We are actually going to try to create a quick Create with Purpose project, sort of in Google Slides, because it's one of the really free software that you have at the tip of your forehand, and you can use it to create a really good project. So we're going to try to create the Save Girl Child project. What I have here are two assets that I have developed, but you can get these on a copyright-free website as well. It's just a black and white image of a man and a woman. And I'm going to try to create this project in Google Slides. So let's go to Google Slide. Let me quickly switch. Okay. Here we go. And what I have right here is the one that I created, and I just pasted it on the Google Slides. So what you can see here is I have some projects that I was working on and some assets that I have created. You can literally use the drawing tools in here to create these assets. So you could use the circle tool, and you can use some of them, or you can import one of these from outside as well, which is copyright free websites. And we have a link of all of copyright free images or media pieces websites on our Google Classrooms in the resources section. So how do we create a 19 by 13 poster using Google Slides? I'm in Google Slides. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to create a new presentation. So that opens up a new presentation. Then I'm going to label it. Okay, it's taking some time. That's part of the battle. So we don't want any themes. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to name it as Session1 project. And I have this wonderful slide. I do not need this. So I'm going to delete all of the text boxes. Then obviously I want to make sure that my project is especially if I'm going to print it for Youth Voices, we have 19 by 13. That is our printer's dimensions, or print dimensions. So we want to make sure that our project that we are creating here is of that same dimension. So I went into page setup, and here I'm going to go to custom, and I'm going to say 13 by 19 inches. So that gives me a 19 by 13 inches project that I want to, I'll start working on. So here I have, let's say, I'm going to create, let's see, I'm going to create a shape so that I have that. Okay. Or instead of that, I'm going to use this, pressing shift. And another one, I'm going to draw a line across. I'm just going to make it a little bit visually. And I'm pressing shift as I go through this, so my line stays same. And then I'm going to draw another one. And of course, right now I'm doing this very quickly, but you can always take your time and make it a little bit more thicker, different colors, depending on what you want. I'm going to choose a little bit darker color, so I have this nice little line here. Then I'm going to get one of my assets. In this case, I want text on top of this, so I'm going to go in, create a text box right here, and I'm going to choose some of my, let's say, fonts. I'm going to choose, excuse me, I'm going to change my font size to say 36, I hope. Let's see what it gives me. Save the girl child. And I'm going to do save the girl child. And I want this font to increase to, let's say, 48, maybe even 60. I can try. Yep. So that gives me a good text. I can also go in here, maybe even add some highlighting to it. I don't know. We could do something like, and then when you go in here, you can also do custom and go in, vary your color a little bit. So that gives you a nice little highlighting, or you can change and make it a box and change things accordingly. Now I'm going to start placing these. So I have my assets ready that I'm going to start placing in here. A quick second. I'm going to reposition my asset so that I am happy with it. So that's one. I'm going to start placing them, moving them accordingly, and they're all C, Command V, and they'll all be in the same space. You can position them accordingly. Command C, Command V. Um, just making sure that all of these assets are properly aligned and they are in the same sort of. Then what I'm going to do is, because I have a row ready, I'm going to control click and I'm going to group them. Once I group them, they are one object that then I can copy and paste and then place them right below. Uh-oh, I think I did not group all of them. So that's critical. So let's say I'm going to ungroup all of it. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I'm going to group them. Then when I look at it, let's say Command C and then Command V. Okay. Okay, and they don't have, I think, C, Command V. We got all of these ready, and then we are going to do the same thing. So anytime you try to group them and you click on them, it is going to deselect one of them. So you might as well copy all of these, Command C, and oh, I see this being a little bit off. Yep, now they're better. So I'm just going to copy them and I'm going to paste them. So I get another group ready to go. And I could sort of move this whole lot a bit up here, move my text a bit up here. I can maybe fit in one more. Okay. They're doing a good job, but my text, in this case, what's happening is my text is getting sort of, it's getting overlapped by that, you know, the image. So what I'm going to do is go in here and I'm going to order for my text to stay in the front. So now it will not be overlapped by that image, and I'm moving them right ahead above so that I can have a little bit more space for other. You could even do a collective move with all of these as well. So you could move them like that. It would still work. Now, as you can see, this thing is getting so I'm going to do undo so that we can still have the legs. Okay, so that looks good. Or how about this? We're just going to select again all of these components. We are going to, oh, I can move him. I'm going to move in here. Like that. I'll make sure he's aligned well. And I'm going to make this come down a bit. Make it a bit bigger. So I'm going to go in here and instead of 60, I'm going to choose 70. You can type it in. And that becomes a little bit bigger, so gives us a challenge of fitting it in properly. So we have that, and if you want to move these two a little bit further down, that's fine too. So that gives you the message, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it right back here. So it gives me another nice little text box right at the bottom. which tells me about the second message I want. So I'm going to go in here. I'm not happy with 70, so I'm going to go 68. Gives me just a little bit more space. I'm going to center it. So always center your design. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to make it 68. Sorry. And I'm going to center that design. Okay. That gives me the two messages that I am looking for. That's nicely positioned. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I have a message that I want to add at the Save the Future. So I'm going to go in and change the message here. Save the future. We got our two messages. You can change, you can work with the color combinations. And now there's another key component. I have this. A girl and a boy holding hands. So I'm going to use one of the image assets that I got. I'm going to place them right here. And in this case, I'm going to take off these two, make them smaller, and then place them so that they fit in properly. Okay. And there you go. So might have to make it a bit, okay. So one of the things I could do, and that is something I'm going to work on, is actually draw the man and the woman in the same format and then bring them in. But this is a pretty good indication of that poster. I'm going to make my lines a little bit darker and bigger. So again, I go back here. I have this line width. I'm going to make them 24. That gives me a nice framework to work with. That's my poster. I can change the background. I can change a lot of details on this poster. But this is one that I can use as my EYV create with submissions. Again, the dimensions for this posters are critical because it's a 19 by 13. So when I go to file, I can download it as a PDF document, and or a JPEG image or a vector graphic, which is another thing you can use. But if you download it as a PDF document and give it to me at the highest resolution, we can actually print it as a 19 by 13 poster. So you can make a really good posters using Google Slide as well, just making sure that all your assets are copyright free. So that's poster assignment 1. I'm going to quickly go back to our presentation. Okay. So we looked at how to design one of the posters, and the approach with Create with Purpose, again, is encouraging you to be purposeful and intentional in how they proceed and in what they create. So in our example, say the girl child is our message, is our purpose, and then sort of aligning our visual or our media assets to that purpose, and then coming up with a visual is an important criteria. Just bringing in that purposefulness and intentionality into your project as you proceed, and in what you want to create. That's very important. Every project that comes out of BPS Youth Voices needs to reflect that Create with Purpose philosophy. And again, using this criteria that we showcased just a minute before this particular criteria is a great tool to offer some critique of the work and to assess if the work that the youth is producing or is in the process of producing aligning well with the typical youth media outcome that we are looking for with Create with Purpose. So we are going to shift gears, and we are going to look at media literacy, which is one of the most important processes um, to be aware of. So sort of understanding media literacy is the ability to critique and deconstruct media sources and media so that we all can successfully navigate this really saturated media world. It is a foundational element of good youth media practice, or any media practice for that matter. And when viewing media, everyone sort of should focus on some of these critical questions, like who produced this work, and who, meaning where is the producer from, or where's the artist from? So it is his placement in this specific place making an impact on his media? What are their attitudes and values relative to our own? So is there a difference in the attitudes and values, and is that what's impacting this media piece? So sort of analyzing that media piece from this lens. What is the artist trying to change, or is the artist trying to change my perspective in some way? Do I really agree with that perspective, or I have a different perspective, I have a different take, and if I do, how do I respond to it? Sort of recognizing some of these prompts as you look at any media piece. It is important because it is critical that young people develop a sense of broader media world around them and how it impacts their how it impacts their decision making. There are a lot of new literacies out there, media, digital information, and it is really required to be a fully participating global citizen to be aware of these literacies and to use these literacies in participating in the dialogue around different issues. Most media content, and this is my favorite one, most media content reflects varying degrees of bias that may be hard for the viewer and audience to detect. And this is important because every artist, every media piece comes with an internal, when I create my own media piece, I have an internal bias that I'm referring to when I'm sort of looking at that media piece, or I'm creating that media piece. So sort of as an audience, it is important to recognize that truth and to be able to spot it when you are looking at a media piece. So again, sort of reviewing these ideas, these are some of the examples where we are in the habit of quoting sources. So at the end of this presentation, we are quoting all the sources and media sources that we are using, because it is very important that we recognize the artist and the copyright guidelines for all media. So the first one is Le Tour de France. That's their logo. And if you've seen this, you can see that right here where the R is, it's almost like a bicyclist. And the OUR part of it is very pronounced. So in a way, they have made a statement that the cycling contest will always be Le Tour de France is theirs, essentially. But that's a take from that graphic that a lot of, there was a lot of discussion around that. Second one that we've seen is the FedEx one. And in here, if you see, this was their renewed logo with the X. And right here is this forward arrow, and that sort of aligned with their philosophy that things are getting bigger and better and faster as they're moving forward. So that was a great take on their logo. Tostitos has this fun logo, which has people in it, and they're dipping in the bowl of salsa, the chips, and so it gives you that community feeling, and that was very intentional in their logo making process. Same in this case is the Sony VIO logo right here. This includes, and I've just added it here, obviously the logo doesn't have it, but it includes an analog as well as a digital component to their logo, which was very ingenious and intelligent of them, because they do work in both fields, and it's a great representation, a simplistic, great representation. At the bottom, pardon me, at the bottom right here, you see sort of this This is an advert for pocket pies, which talks about prepare snacks quick and easy, and this was a hilarious take on that. But it also had a subtle hidden meaning about the gun control, and you have these cubs right here. So that was an interesting advert that they had done. Same thing right here. You have one which is from the 3M Scotch advert campaign, and it is actually talking about it's overloaded, and you can talk about the strength of it and all. Just a hilarious take on, again, a really wonderful ad campaign. Here, what you see is the Pixar's Inside Out, and there was a lot of criticism around this image because the happy character, right in here, it was a lot of criticism around body shaming and body image, and sort of recognizing that the happy or the joyous character called Joy is this a tall, slender, character right in here, which is bright, and the sorrow character of it is this wearing spectacles, short, sort of blue, and that kind of connotation. So there was a lot of criticism around it, and there are many articles written on it. It's Disney's Pixar's Inside Out body shaming article, and talking about the messages may not be intended by the artist, but can be construed by the audience. So sort of recognizing these inherent biases that an image can project, especially when you are looking at an image. Just an interesting discussion. This is a great one, a hilarious one again, but very ingenious, of Pepsi Light, which showcases Pepsi Light in a very great, in a hilarious format, but again, an ingenious design. Oh, I apologize. Um, and finally, you have this. This is a really great advert about gun control, but at the same time anti-smoking, that they combined, and they brought in this whole idea of how without saying anything, without using any text, how they are equally damaging and equally detrimental to us, and what it essentially means. So a great media piece. The second one is sort of, again, analyzing media and recognizing that advertisements are so much, how much of it is honesty. And there are these wonderful surveys done, which, as you can see right here, at least 10 least trusted ad types in the United States alone. And people, to some extent, do trust environment-friendly ones, but then when it comes to diet products and all of these, the dishonesty scale goes up, and sort of like that. But what's alarming here in this graphic is 47% of the people really do believe that what's showcased in the ad is true, and that is indeed where the media literacy needs to be much more stronger, so that they can detect the biases or inherent meanings or hidden messages in the media. Next comes this sort of analyzing media and how it's sort of bait and switch. If you look at this Campbell soup, the reality of it is it looks like this. And when you go into the fast food items, you can see that, you have the burger looking one way, and then the reality looks a certain way, and so on and so forth. So again, there is certain amount of gloss that's being put up on in media, and sort of recognizing the bias that comes with it, and sort of being aware of it, and using that awareness of bias into our decision making is very important, and teaching that to our kids is equally important. Moving on, we just wanted to point out a quick global advertisement campaign that AT&T did. They have done a remarkable job of taking a global campaign on, but also sort of individualizing it for countries. It's a global brand. They could have very easily just done for the world over, but they have specifically done it for China, for Chile, for specific Russia, you name it, Paris. So they have an individualized campaign that focuses on specific cities or as well as countries, and that's a really great way of looking at sort of a globalized advert. So that was a great example. Having said that, I'm going to quickly switch to this Elements of Storytelling series, which gives you this understanding of what are some of the key components of of an effective story. And for the purposes of this, this was part of the Youth Voices repertoire of resources, and you can use it in your classroom, or you can filter it out and use component pieces of it. But you can very well take this, which is applicable to videos directly or films directly, and move it to into a poster scenario as well, and use the same people, places, plot, purpose sort of guideline for designing your posters as well. So give me a quick second. I'm going to switch over to okay, that's my tummy, sorry. Okay, so we're going in here, and Still Motion has created this wonderful resource, and it's yours to use how and when you want to use them, but just making sure that as you translate it to posters, it translates well and has that same context as this has for films. So here we go.
Hey everyone, this is Patrick from Still Motion. Over the next couple of weeks, we're excited to be teaming up with Vimeo to create a series that will challenge you to take your storytelling to another level. I'll be joined by Amina, Justin, and Baker to share what we've learned about the storytelling process over the past 7 years of making films. Our goal is to push you and transform the way you tell stories. In fact, at the end of the series, we're going to issue a specific challenge we want you to go out and film. Are you up for it? In this first segment, we'll be sharing what we call the 4 P's of storytelling. Why? Because these are the fundamentals, the building blocks that are consistent among any film we create. When we first started telling stories, we would just show up, try to figure out things on the fly, and do our best to keep up. Later, we'd pull the footage into post and spend hours trying to piece together and find a coherent story. We'd look back and say,
I wish I knew their vows were going to be that emotional.
I wish I'd known I could have shot in that location. If I'd only known, I would have shot it so differently.
Eventually, we got fed up with always being one step behind, and we asked ourselves, what is it that really makes a great story? What elements of a story do we look for every time we go out and shoot, regardless of the project? And how can we plan for and lock in these things to ensure that we stay a step ahead and not a step behind? We didn't get all of our answers at once, but over the years we've developed a process for telling stories that has allowed us to stay ahead, remain flexible, and share some amazing work with the world. The first step these days in any story we take on or tell is to ensure we have a firm understanding of each of the 4 P's. First, people. Who is in our story? Next, we have places. Where does our story take place? And then we have plot. What is the conflict and the journey? And the 4th one, purpose. Why should anyone care about this? It sounds simple, but our focus on these 4 fundamentals, even before we pick up a camera, has revolutionized the way we tell stories. Let's break down each one of these on their own. The people in your films are your characters. The primary job of our characters is to make us care about the story, make us relate to the story, make us emotionally invested in the story. We want to root for our characters. We want them to succeed or triumph. Well, unless we want to flip the script. A good antagonist can have us rooting against them, wanting them to lose, or screaming at our screens in anger. Good or bad, the people of your film will bring your audience into the story. However, there are 2 tricks we've learned when it comes to characters. First, your characters may not always be a real person. It could even be an object.
When we shoot a wedding, it's really easy to fall into the trap of assuming that the bride and groom will always be our main characters. In the case of Veronica and Dan, we actually had a third character, their wedding day vehicle. It was a 1970s Winnebago. It was rusty, creaky, and best of all, it was them. We made it a big focus of their film because we knew its backstory and how big a character it is in their life together. By spending so much time covering the Winnebago throughout the day, we get a really original character that helps to connect our audience and draw them into the story.
The second trick we've learned about characters is to look deeper than just the first person that is given to us. Sometimes your best characters aren't the obvious ones.
Several years ago, we filmed a series of spots for Callaway Golf, featuring their top PGA golfers, one of which was Phil Mickelson. As we were doing our research on Phil, we found out that his caddy, Bones, had been with him for a long time and played a huge role in Phil's success. As a result, Bones was flown in, just to take part in this shoot, and our interview of him ended up playing a key role in Phil's eventual spot.
When it comes to your characters, the number one thing to remember is that you are the filmmaker. You are the one that gets to choose your characters. So get creative and dig deep. The places in your films are where your story happens. Locations have the potential to add depth and intrigue to your characters and your stories. They can also help us visually communicate a great deal of information in a short amount of time. And on the negative side, a bad location can completely disconnect us out of a scene or character. So it's critical that we give the places in our film a good deal of thought and importance. Whenever we look for the perfect location, we consider these three characteristics. First, relevance. Does it fit or relate to either our character or our overall story? Second, comfort. Will our characters feel at ease? Will the people on screen be able to act naturally? And third, production friendly. Do we have enough space? How much lighting will we need? How loud or controllable is the sound? Who may be in the way?
I can remember when we were on the road traveling for our documentary, I'm Fine Things. We met with a lady named Tammy, who had downsized her life and moved into a 150 square foot tiny house. We knew we wanted to include her story and her journey to lead a more simple life, but we were unsure where to shoot the interview. Her home was, as you can imagine, tiny, so we had very limited space inside. We could have moved it outside, but we may have had problems with shifting light and uncontrollable audio. Ultimately, we chose to shoot it inside, but up in her loft, which would mean holding the monopod against the actual ladder to get the shot. While it wasn't the most production friendly, it was extremely relevant to her topic and Tammy's favorite spot in her whole home.
When it comes to location, oftentimes we have a tendency to settle on what is easy or what is given to us. Don't do that. Dig deep to pick locations that have relevance, comfort, and are production friendly. Even when you're given a location you can't control, push yourself to make the most of each and every space in your film. Now the plot is where we build intrigue for the viewer. It's the journey we take our audience on. It's the conflict our characters confront. You have no idea how many times we ask ourselves around the studio, hey, what's the conflict of this piece? Who's the enemy? This is what separates a fluff piece from a true compelling story. Even if you're given the task of shooting a car commercial, we believe that finding the conflict, the struggle, the tension will craft that commercial into a masterpiece that hooks the viewer from start to finish. We encourage that you have a conflict in every story you tell. Now that doesn't mean you need to have a villain in each piece, and it doesn't mean every piece has to be a tear-jerking drama. Conflict or tension can come in all shapes and sizes.
Even weddings need conflict. In the case of Stu and Dana, Stu had committed to memorizing his custom-written vows. He was nervous and he wasn't sure if he could. We made this extra bit of tension a focus as he practiced all morning and afternoon. As he paced around the room while committing his lines to memory, the viewer feels more empathy and starts feeling nervous with him. By the time the ceremony arrives, we're really rooting for him. And when he delivers them through the tears he tries to hold back, we feel more connected to him than ever. And largely because we, as the viewer, have seen him work through this conflict.
The reason the journey and conflict are so important is that they leave your audience asking questions. They engage their curiosity. As soon as your audience has no unanswered questions, and as soon as they start to find the plot predictable, they'll tune you out. They'll move on. Focus on your journey, your conflict, and constantly remind yourself to generate questions that will keep your audience intrigued and will leave them wanting to watch until the end. Why? It may be the most used word in all of still motion. Why is anyone going to care about your film? Why are you telling this story? What is the essence, the purpose, the meaning of what you are doing? Here's how we like to think of it. Know what you need to say before you speak. Your film will carry more impact, your stories will resonate with more people, and you'll save time, stress, and money.
For example, we knew that we wanted to take on the issue of how people got trapped in complacent lives and careers and inspire those people to take back control over the direction of their lives. But we also realized that we wouldn't be able to solve every problem for every person. This issue is complex and has no one-size-fits-all magic bullet that's going to work for everyone. So instead, we decided we just wanted to open the door to show people examples of other people who've confronted this issue head on. And by doing that, push them to take action for whatever their dream may be. We were able to focus all of our energy on a clear, succinct purpose. And that was to make a film that challenged people to reclaim their dreams. We wanted to be that spark, the catalyst that helped people make a change to live a life more aligned with their passions and their purpose.
When filming your own documentary, like Baker and Grant did, knowing your purpose or your why might come more naturally. After all, it's your documentary. But what about the times you're hired for a specific commercial gig? Aren't things out of your control? No, don't give yourself that excuse. Treat every commercial job with the same passion you put into your own projects. Keep pushing for that why behind what you're doing.
Pulse is a film we created about BioBeats, an iPhone app that turns your heartbeat into music. They had come to us originally to make a simple Kickstarter video. But after meeting with them and seeing just how passionate they are and the reasons why BioBeats exists, we shared with them a vision of a film that spoke to a much larger concept. Something more than just seeking out financing. It involved many shoot days, international travel, and a schedule that nearly killed everybody involved in the project. But in the end, we were able to share this vision for a film that needed to be made. They now have an incredible film that speaks to the who and what of BioBeats, but much more importantly, speaks to the reason why they do what they do.
Whether you're creating something on your own or you're hired to produce a specific film, we challenge you to be able to state your purpose in one clear, succinct sentence. Until you can do that, don't even pick up a camera. What's the purpose of your film? In one sentence. No matter what project we tackle these days, we start right here with the fundamentals. Who are the people in our film? What places will add depth and intrigue? What journey will we take them on in our plot? And what's the purpose for telling this story? Get used to the 4 Ps we've outlined today, and your storytelling will thank you. In the next segment, we're going to be breaking down how we discover our keywords, a simple list of words or phrases that help guide every decision we make. And then we'll talk about how we use these keywords to shape and finalize the rest of our pre-production challenges. See you then.
Yeah, that's a really great still motion piece. They have a 4-part series that we will showcase during our webinar sessions so that it's part of our Youth Voices thought process as well. It's also, the links to these will also be posted on the Google Classroom, so you can use these as and when you need them in the context of the filmmaking or the poster making as you are approaching the media projects with the students. Give me a quick second. I'm going to switch. Okay. So again, coming back to sort of media literacy prompts, and as you know, as Patrick mentioned, in the still motion way of storytelling, it is extremely important to be able to ask questions and to have a dialogue with the media piece that you are integrating it into. So central to making media with youth is teaching critical media analysis or media literacy, and these skills enable youth or young people to be aware of the impact of media, on their lives and to become critical consumers of media. So that's sort of the essential goal. It is to be able to read, understand, and create media, but not only relevant to youth, it is vital for everybody to be able to critically view media and recognize inherent biases and to be able to address them. So these are some of the prompts you can always use. What's the message? Who's the audience for this piece? What is the piece telling you that it was created for that audience? The last one, before I go to the techniques and how do these sample tell a different story, I'm going to show you a visual of, I apologize. So Got Milk was a campaign that was done by it's an advertising agency called Goodby and Silverstone Partners for the California Milk Producers Association or Process Board. And what they had done is, it's sort of encouraging consumption of cow's milk, and it was made in 1993. It is copyrighted and can be used by any sort of in that association to promote this. So here is a media advert from that campaign, and it's still going on, and you have many others like this. So here is a context-changing media mashup that Adbusters is another really great resource that showcases ads with change in context, and it sort of gets you to think about the content and the context of that advertisement. So in this case, the Got Milk message is so much more than promoting the cow's milk for California Cow's Milk Processing Association, but it's more focusing on the global aspect of, do we have enough food for all the members of our global family, and sort of very important questions around social equity and access and just basic health and wellness. So we are going to do an activity next time in the next session, but during this activity we look at print or digital ads, discuss their intended message, and impact and reconstruct them to change their meaning, which in this case we've done. We've looked at an ad and then we have reconstructed it. Here's my example where it changed its meaning, or rather enhanced its meaning in a more global context. So we will be using this media viewing technique, obviously the SAMs, in order to analyze the media piece, the original media piece, and then sort of creating identifying the elements, the story, and the audience, and the message and the style, but then using that information to then modify into a media mashup that will enhance the message. I think the key question that will govern this activity is, how did changing the image or the background or the context of it changed the story and the message. So in this case, it's very clear. So an example such as this is what we will be expecting from you as a part of your assignment. Obviously, we'll post resources. You can take a look through Adbusters, or you can there are many different sort of portals online that allows you to look through media samples such as this, but it's sort of recognizing that the changing the context or changing the image can change the story and message significantly. Same as this second example, which is talking about, again, Thinner Than Ever, which was the iPad campaign that has morphed into this advert from Adbusters, again, talking about what does that message mean now in this context, in the context of having no food in the most part of the world, and recognizing that as one of the biggest issue that a global citizen faces, we face, and how one can, go ahead from here and contribute to that malnutrition issue across the globe. So there are several such examples like this, and that's part of your homework, to come up with samples such as this, which gives you the original content and then sort of a modified image that changes the message or enhances the message in the story. So we've been through this tradition of sort of looking at some processes that will scaffold the youth media tradition and the create with purpose, and hopefully we will arrive at the end of this 4 sessions, we'll arrive at the creative confidence for our students in creating the media pieces around the issues that they want to tackle. Moving on. I just quickly wanted to delve into the logistics of BPS Youth Voices Project. Here is the contract, the production kit. So let me quickly zoom it up a bit. So here is, the Youth Voices Project commitments, and the links to this will be posted on Google Classroom. So please do take a look at it. Sign it so that we can have you participating with the cohort for 2017. The requirements focus on, at the end of the school year, you are participating in the Youth Voices Live Showcase, and you'll be receiving the stipend amount is stated in this, but you will be submitting media samples, 5 to 6 media samples, but we usually recommend submitting 10 so that a lot of them get selected, because according to the Create with Purpose criteria, some of them end up not addressing the Create with Purpose criteria. So hence the recommendation of submitting 10 high quality products if you can. Usually the AYV Live is in end of May or June, and we require you to participate in that. And then sort of in terms of support, we will provide you with the software. We will also help you with, we'll give you exemplars, we'll give you access to the curriculum. I will stop by classrooms to work with you on your project pitch proposals if you need. If you have questions, you can always ask me, and we can work on those as well. For rough cut reviews, if you invite us, we come in and give feedback, or we bring in graphic design artists. Here is the production kit that comes in. So usually you'll get a digital camera or a camcorder, you get a portable hard drive to bring in, although we're recommending using your Google Drive so that you have more access to the infinite space that BPS provides for the Google Drive. And that allows you to put in all your content online, and it's always safe. It's not going to crash on you. This is the tentative timeline for Youth Voices. So in September, you will be starting your project, but this is not something that you have day by day implementation. You decide how you will implement it in your classroom. The deliverables, of course, are the projects. You go through the project pitch proposal, you go through the rough cut reviews, you go through the final showcase, and sort of bring that feedback loop into the creative media design for your students. So please do take a look at the contract, the timeline, and the production kit, and do let me know if you have any questions. We can always have one-on-one Q&As about this, because there might be specific questions that you have that are relevant to your school in terms of licensing, or number of licenses you want, what kind of licenses you want, or your timeline, and events such as those. We also work with the BPS Arts department in contributing to the different festivals that they organize, and ours as well. So we'll submit all your media to them and to other international competitions, including some competitions that we'll be hosting in BPS. It's a great opportunity to showcase your work and to have your students receive recognition for the amount of effort they put in. So having said that, please do, again, this is the contract, production kit, and the timeline, but take a look at it, and please email me if you have any questions about those. Thank you. We'll be going through these stages as we proceed through our sessions, but sort of planning your program, developing your idea, media making steps, reflecting on your outcomes, and applying new skills. But creatively, I think as we look through a lot of these media making process, scaffolding activities, it's important for you to, as the educator or the facilitator in the classroom, to see what fits in with your students and sort of trying to meet them where they are and what they need, as opposed to implementing a slew of activities that may not necessarily support the students where they are. So it's sort of, we give you all the resources, but we also trust in your judgment of in terms of usage of that. Standards, this work, the whole Youth Voices, Adobe Youth Voices or BPS Youth Voices work aligns with the following standards. There's National Core Art Standards. This includes music, dance, theater, visual arts, but media arts were included recently in 2014. Media arts are arranged by 4 anchors, and it's K-12 standards. And sort of these are the 4, the creating, performing, presenting, responding, and connecting. That's how they've organized it. But and you can align your work with these media art standards. Of course, there's a May curriculum framework by DESI, which includes the 4 art components in 1999. BPS Arts Expansion Initiative that's going on with the support of Edvestors 2009 to present, and they are really helping in expanding access to the district and community partnerships for the students. So they also work, we work very closely with the BPS Arts Expansion Initiative in providing access for media arts in the district. So that's sort of the standards discussion. But going forward, again, the digital literacy and computer science standards were released on June 18th, MA Digital Literacy CS standards. And it's really wonderful to see these 4 strands, which are computing and society, digital tools and collaboration, computing systems, and computational thinking. These are the 4 main strands of these, of the DLCS standards. And sort of seeing the very specific alignments to the digital tools and collaboration in many spaces. And it also allows you to sort of look at some of the modeling, abstraction algorithms, or the programming aspect of it, especially for people who are doing, animations in their classrooms or game design and that kind of stuff. We are revisiting, we are at the end of our session, so we'll quickly revisit our learning objectives. We did look at some common youth media practices. We looked at the create with purpose criteria and some of the benefits of, making youth media, youth literacy, media literacy accessible to our youth in the classroom. We reviewed some of the steps in the media production, and we are also, focused on advocating for media literacy and therein advocating for detecting the bias within any media pieces to our students. Homework. This is important. There are 5 pieces to the homeworks that I have posted. There is going to be an exit ticket. There is a media literacy activity. So just like I did the media literacy activity, you are going to create document with 4 media samples with hidden messaging, and you're going to share that slide with me. You could always put all of these assignments in a Google folder, and you can share that folder with me, so you can update assignments in it as you go through session 1, 2, 3, and 4 and onwards. We'll be doing a SAMS activity herein, so I'm going to quickly go to the classroom, and I'm going to show you, I have, sorry, here is the, so this is the session 1. It's not yet posted, but as you can see, the homework is completing exit pass, sharing a link to the Google Doc with 4 media samples that showcase bias. You're creating a poster using Google Slide about a theme, human rights. That's your theme, just the way we did about Save the Girl Child, you can use that theme, or you can use a different theme related to human rights of your choice that is globally relevant and follows the Create with Purpose criteria. So so a poster in Google Slide with 19 by 13 dimensions that will address one of the themes within Google, human rights, will be great. So you're going to share that as part of your homework. You're going to provide feedback using SAMs. There is a link to the online SAMs. This is the link. And I've given you a video, and I've also given you a poster. So you're going to do 2 SAMs with that. And you view media integration link. I'm going to post, this is an optional assignment. You can view the media integration section link, which talks about standards, talks about how to integrate, how important it is to design media with accessibility as a point of view. So that's another important piece of it. So right now I'm going to just save this as a draft. That's your assignment. Make sure you also complete your first assignment, which is your welcome assignment. And that's about it. This is the exit ticket, which was shared. This will be a Padlet link, and these are the questions. How do you see your role changing from a teacher to facilitator? If there are any specific pointers making in your practice, that kind of stuff. These are the Padlet prompts. Then I'm going to end with this really nice quote from David Kelly, who's CEO of IDEO. What we have in this creative confidence, that when given a difficult problem, we have a methodology that enables us to come up with a solution that nobody has before. And he defines creative confidence as this: self-expression, ability to express a point of view, ideation, collaboration, flexibility, and persistence, the ability to stick with the challenge through completion. Have a wonderful day. I hope I did not give too much homework assignment, but please tune in for the session 2, which will be hosted on Thursday evening. Or you can watch it anytime, and September 10th is your deadline for all the assignments. So you can watch webinars and do your assignments anytime before September 10th. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Thank you again.